then I laugh. I've had students say, I've listened to the lecture over again and I didn't pick up the joke when you said it, but I was listening to it and I understood that there was a joke there. Like, keep up, things move fast. Things move fast. So again, we talked about T3 and T4 right there as we were mentioning those things right there. One of the other things we need to think about, you guys, y'all know how I feel about the pancreas. You guys, I love your pancreas as much as I love your heart. People want to save the whales, I want to save the pancreas. Okay? Your pancreas does two things, friends. It produces glucagon and insulin. And if we can finally get the pancreas to do what it was so divinely designed to do by getting rid of all the crap that we eat, we can save the world from type 2 diabetes. We can save the world from obesity. We can do these things by helping people take care of their pancreas. We've got to get better at controlling natural blood glucose levels. Okay? And here's when we start to see with your adrenal cortex. Now, here's what we know. There are these things called glucocorticoids. And this is your cortisol, your cortisone, and so many other things. What we know is these can have both catabolic and anti-anabolic effects. Now, if something is catabolic, and we're talking about the body, is that a yay or a nay? That's a nay, okay? And if it is anti-anabolic, is that a yay or a nay? That's another nay. So what we need to understand is these glucocorticoids, these are the things. Friends, this is when we see cortisol levels being up. Cortisol is a catabolic hormone. When your body is in fight or flight or in freak out stage, it's going to crank out cortisol. And when your body is in constant fight or flight, hey, remind me if that is your sympathetic or your parasympathetic. It's your parasympathetic, okay? If you are in constant parasympathetic overdrive, your body is going to crank out cortisol. And the only thing that your body knows how to do is if you are in chronic freak out, it's going to have you pack on body fat. Because what does body fat do? It protects your organs. It acts as this outer shell about keeping you safe. And let me also tell you what we know. And remember, what kind of people are you? If I am high cortisol, my body is automatically going to go low lipase. So tell me what's going to be really almost impossible to do if I am low lipase. Burn body fat. Okay? Whenever you get catabolic, your body says, I'm holding on to it. You guys, that's why people that don't sleep well, that's why people that are chronically overstressed, that's why people that don't make time, that say they don't have time to exercise because they're so stressed, that's why they try to start exercising, but they don't have any success. Because they have blunted off their lipase response because they are chronically catabolic in parasympathetic overdrive. It's one of these things, think about it, how we think about the nervous system being so important. If we're not putting our nervous system in place with the right chemical messengers, it can't do what we want it to do. Your body will respond to. So here's the question. Keep.
I was just going to ask, is there like a way to reverse that? Like if you're already there, like chronically stressed and you're having trouble with working out and stuff, to get your body back to kind of get into that normal workout thing where you're losing body fat?
Perfect. So the question was how to reset it once you've shifted to catabolic. This is when people have to have that aha moment. They have to say, I've got to start to change. And we talk so much about behavior management in sports nutrition. Friends, change is hard. And you know what? It's not our job to change people. It's our job to motivate people to change themselves. And so whenever we start to see people that are struggling, it's our job to be a support system and a knowledge base for them. Because what will happen is, after they learn to manage their stress, after they finally make a commitment to sleeping better, they finally make a commitment to stop eating crap food, you can repair back to being chronically anabolic instead of chronically catabolic. You can do that. Because remember, if you finally start to ask your body, hey, let's go to sleep, let's put good fuel in, let's exercise at appropriate amount to where Hans Selye and McKay theories work, let's do these things. You're gonna all of a sudden start to see the change. The thing that's weird with people in behavior change, they want it to be like the flip of a light switch, where people can be chronically obese, chronically stressed, chronically sleep deprived for 4 or 5 years, and yet they want it fixed in 5 minutes. And if they don't see the change in 5 minutes, they can't do this. So yes, the pendulum can shift. It just takes time for the body to respond to the alarm. Sydney.
So when you have when you're chronically catabolic, is that when you start having metabolic damage disorder?
Yes.
So is there is that the same as you're saying do all those things? Will that help? What makes your metabolic rate or whatever stop?
Okay, so the question is, when we become chronically catabolic, your metabolic rate is going to slow down out of survival. Okay, y'all are probably like the movie Castaway. Okay, this is this whole thing where you can take the best of two worlds. Take Castaway, but pretend there's a McDonald's. Okay, people put their bodies in that kind of stressful situation, but believe it or not, Tom Hanks didn't have a McDonald's around the corner. Okay, but yet we are putting our bodies in those chronically stressful situations. And then, friends, whenever you're chronically stressed, what does your body tell you to go and eat? Basically, crappy, high carbohydrate, sweet comfort food. Which that's actually making it worse and worse and worse. Remember, it goes back to the pancreas. So whenever that pancreas can't produce the right amount of insulin anymore, that's when we become insulin resistant. That's when we see metabolic disorders coming into play.
So can you become catabolic if you're not not that you're not sleeping well and not eating well, but if you're purposely not eating and stuff like that, and then when you start eating again, is that why you put on so much weight?
Yes. Anytime, listen, this is crazy to think of. Anytime you're not doing the right thing, you're becoming catabolic. And whether that is doing nothing or whether that is to the point where you are overtraining so hard that the tissue, you can't be anabolic enough because you're being overly catabolic. So people all of a sudden shift into catabolic, not using lipase, whenever they are chronically overtrained as well. And we talk about markers of overtraining as it results with the hormones. So because overtraining is real, you can ruin a career based on overtraining. Yes, Colton.
So obviously having an excess amount of body fat is bad, but if the body puts on body fat to protect the organs, would there be a certain percentage that is good to have?
It's all in the fine-tuned balance. And I think when we each figure out where we're at our optimal functioning point, to where we're not only functioning potentially athletically at our best, but we also, when we look at our blood chemistry profile, we see that our cholesterol levels are in check, we see that our thyroid levels are in check, we see all of these things that are allowing us to create optimal health. Because here's what we know. optimal performance and optimal health have to be at the same place. And the thing that a lot of college athletes have on their side is they are young enough and gifted enough, naturally, that they can perform at a pretty high level without being in optimal health. So you have a little bit of genetics and youth on your side that you can sort of cheat the system, okay, until your body says, you're not young enough and you didn't get the right cards. You're gonna eventually have to start to walk the straight and narrow, or you're headed towards bad health.
So, have you heard of the tight end, Gronk for the Patriots? He like parties all the time, but somehow manages to just perform.
There are some people that are freaks.
So he just has amazing.
Yeah, there are the 1%ers. There are the 1%ers in the world. But what we know is, we know that most professional athletes are taking care of what they eat. They're taking care of how they sleep. They're taking care of how they train. They're taking care of how they stress or don't stress. Because they know that their optimal performance depends on it. Now, what's sad to me is, it's sad to me personally to see, and I'm gonna harp a little bit on our collegiate athletes, and maybe even some of our ROTC collegiate athletes. It is so sad to me to see collegiate athletes walking around eating crap food. It is so sad to me, because they're at least gifted enough to a point that they have made it to a point where actually they're getting to go to school for free, which is a gift, yes or no?
Yes.
But yet, they're not even taking I hate the words take advantage. They're not owning up to their responsibility end of the deal to see if they would just not walk around eating gummy bears 24/7, what their athletic performance could possibly be.